And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. I apologize for the extended break here, but we have returned with our second match of the night with a winner's match. So the previous match was a little bit bittersweet. We determined who would be eliminated from the tournament. Here we determine who advances on into the playoffs. The winner will advance on into the playoffs. The loser has to play again in round 5 for another shot at making it in. So again, it's basically a winner's match between these two players. Who advances on, who has to keep on fighting in the group stage. Oh boy, the pressure is on. We are getting ready here for Clem versus Dark. Bit of a TvZ to kick things off. Vetoes are done. Maps have been chosen. And again, it's going to be really interesting to see how this dynamic plays out. Clem is arguably the best Terran in the world right now. He's arguably the best. He has some really terrifying TvZ and TvP. And historically, Dark would typically come up on top. Historically, Dark would be the winner, would be the favorite player in amongst these two, but in recent months, in recent times, it's been Clem. It's been Clem that's been more dominant amongst these two in this matchup, and you know, off the back of the ESL Masters Winter Championship, Clem is on fire right now. Typically, if we're looking at Clem's weaknesses, it comes down to TVTs more than anything. Not this matchup though. Spawning in the top right hand corner, we have Clem for Team Liquid, and in the bottom left, we have as opponent, we have Dark from Korea. Korean Zerg player. Again, Dark unfortunately is teamless. He was on DKZ for a long time and DPG before that, but his contract did come to an end. A lot of people are theorizing, because it came to an end, that Dark may not end up joining another team. The reasoning for this is military service. The reality is that Dark should be committing and should be performing his military service soon, so that would make sense as to why the contract was not extended, and why Dark may be looking for, you know, his last couple of tournaments here before he does end up heading out to the military. So again, it is a little bit bittersweet, but you know, that's why I'm hoping that Dark can have a very standout performance here in this event, and also in IM Katowice. I'm hoping for it. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed as we're getting into game number 1 here. So far, Hatchgas full standard opener out of Dark. Likewise, a Rax expand out of Clem. Important that I point this out just because Clem has been embracing the 2 Rax Reaper. He has been embracing that for quite some time. So it is important to bear in mind that he is going for a much more lax opener here. Also, as we get ready, and as we get a bit of a pause, this does give us an opportunity to get some predictions going. If you're in the chat, predictions are open, so you can place your bets on who you think will win out this series. Again, we've only seen the openers so far, no major tells yet. It looks like there may be a bit of a hotkey issue, maybe some ping issue, but we will resolve that. And again, place your bets on who you think does come out on top here in this best of 3. It's a best of 3. Anything could happen. Speaking of anything happening, a big shout out to Fernando. Gracias, papi, gracias. Thank you so much for subscribing. So much support for 33 months. It's been 33 months, papi. The Honkai star enjoyer himself. Thank you so much for the support, papi. Always, always. God, papi, God. No. As we are going to be getting ready here for our first game between our 2 lovely players here. Again, just fixing any kind of issues. If we have to restart the lobby and maybe restart the game, then I'm sure we'd be willing to. Shout out to Clem, drinking his morning coffee. Just woke up. Let's go. Vámonos. But again, even though the night is going to be long, all these players only have 1 match. They only have 1 match to play out, as we have our first 3, then our next 3 matches thereafter. I did just tweet recently as well, if you're curious. We are going to be casting Masters Coliseum, and in a couple of hours, in like 6 hours time, we're going to be casting the Christmas Cup. Christmas Cup is also going to be on the horizon. It's also going to be played out tonight. So the round of 16 of the Christmas Cup. Tomorrow is the round of 8, and the day after that is going to be the finals of the Christmas Cup thereafter. So a lot of StarCraft going on. Tomorrow is also OSC King of the Hill. So tomorrow is going to be OSC King of the Hill. Sorry, it's going to be KSL into OSC King of the Hill into Christmas Cup. So that's It's a lot going on. A lot of StarCraft, Pappy. A lot of StarCraft. As it typically is for us here on the weekend. Weekends are usually jam-packed, full of events. Likewise, we're going to be getting back into the ESL Open Cups. For those that are curious, I believe the weekend will be free from Masters Coliseum, so there's going to be basically a bit of a break in between the group stage and in between the playoffs. So there's going to be a couple of days off where we don't have Masters Coliseum, but we're going to be casting stuff anyway. We're going to be live at this hour regardless. Unfortunately, we did miss out on ESL Open Cup Americas this week, so I am planning to have a replay cast to catch up on ESL Open Cup Americas on Sunday. So again, Sunday there won't be Masters Coliseum. It's going to be an ESL Open Cup Americas replay cast, which we, again, weren't able to cover live. At the time, I was falling behind on editing VODs. For those that are curious, like my life, especially here in January, like January has been so busy for us. It's like sleep, eat, cast, edit VODs. Like it's very little room in between for anything else, so I've just been hyper fixated on that. I have been falling behind a little bit on editing VODs, so I opted not to cast ESL Americas live this week just to catch up on work, and we'll be catching up on Sunday instead with a replay. But here we go, we're diving back in. Let's go. Getting back into our game here. Again, nothing major going on, just standard openers. Was a Rax expand out of Clem, was Hatch Gas pulled from Dark. Oh, never mind. My apologies here. Dark, he's so crazy. So, my apologies. I assumed that it was going to be a Hatch Gas pull out of Dark, and I was wrong. It was a Hatch pull Hatch opener out of Dark, gasless. Now, this is something that Dark has been doing very recently. Not the build he's been doing for a couple of seasons now. This is something that he would whip out on Neo Humanity, specifically just because you can get away with it. Something that he would whip out on larger maps in the current season like Radisson Station, or really greedy maps like Golden Ore. Over the past week, I would say, he's been doing this on Alcyone. Basically, it's a very greedy way to play. No gases are being taken whatsoever. We saw that Maru abused this. We saw that last time Maru and Dark faced off in this very tournament, Dark went gasless, and he got punished so hard on this map. He went gasless into a gold as well, to be fair, on Alcyone. So it is really greedy. It can be punished, but we can see that so far Dark is getting away with it. Thankfully, it was not a double Reaper opener. If it was a 2x Reaper opener, then Dark would be in a bit of trouble because he would have very late link speed to deal with it. But thankfully, he's safe. So Dark, he gets away with cutting a lot of corners and being quite greedy. Now, the way this works is that Dark is relying on just queens to defend. No links. Or there's 4 links, but there's no link speed behind this. Usually, what you do with this is you skip link speed entirely when you eventually take your gases and you go roaches. This should be roach play from Dark, just because link speed is so heavily delayed. It's not really worth investing into it. And speaking of, there's that roach warren. Again, we've seen Dark do this a lot, but typically on other maps, as I mentioned, Radisson Station, Golden Ore, Neo Humanity, but recently Alcyone as well. Now again, this is very map specific, so I feel like I say this a lot when I'm casting certain players, but if you're in the chat, if you're inspired, if you're a Zerg player, you're like, yo, Dark he's going gasless, I'll go gasless. You'll die. It's very map specific, and likewise very like player specific as well, so okay, calm down, Papi. It's just a really risky way to play, but Dark, he can get away with it. He's Dark. Behind this, we're getting into a 1-1-1. Interesting. Okay. Maybe I say that. Is 3cc into a Starport into a 1-1-1. Cloak Banshees are on the way. Roaches are coming out, and this is exactly what Clem needs against a Roach-based opener. Clem hasn't really seen the Roach one. He hasn't seen much at all, to be honest. But going into Banshees, I think, is really smart against Dark. Dark is known for Roach play. Dark has a reputation, so playing Banshees makes a lot of sense. Again, Banshee-based openers, they shut down Roach aggression very hard. Speaking of, I believe 7 Roaches were made. 7 Roaches are getting ready to push out across the map. They're skirting around the edge, actually, and they will be spotted. Big scout. Big scout there by Clem. Does get eyes on the Roaches, forces them back, and that means the Banshees can turn back around as well. The Banshees will deal with this, and this investment from Dark shouldn't deal too much damage. As we can even catch a Roach. Oh, Urubas! We get it. One Roach goes down. A Roach for a Hellion. A good trade for Clem. Behind this, we have our lair on the way. Again, this should be just a commitment into Roaches for the time being. Now, this doesn't have to be pure Roach for the entire game. I wouldn't be surprised if behind this we go into double Evo Chamber into +1 melee. So from here, you can transition into Ling Bane Roach Ravager. We'll see. Otherwise, we could just double down and just go Roach Ravager instead. Oh! Miles not quite connecting. We catch a Ravager as well. Good pickups here by Clem. And again, these Banshees, they can just do so well against this. Catching a couple of Queens, transferring workers. Laying some of the main outing. One drone goes down, a second drone as well. We have to be careful. The Banshees taking a lot of damage. The Hellies, they dive in. The Queens are out of position, and drones are getting roasted. Oh my god, they line up, and this is far too much damage here. 13, 15 workers go down. The boys are being pulled. We get 16 workers in total, soon to be 17, and and this is critical damage here. There's that 17th drone falling. An entire mineral line just went down. And with that, we're still not done here, getting another worker. This may force an all-in. I say that there's melee on the way, plus on melee, so it is not going to be a 1-1 Roach timing. As we were just speaking about, it is Roach Ravager into Ling Bane, but the gold is denied mining as well as the Banshee does rotate over. And Dark has some recovery too. A lot of redroning. Infestation Bit is on the way. The Infestation Bit tells us that Dark is looking for a longer game. Now, the gold can help us catch back up. Dark, any other map, and Dark would be dead. 100%. Dark would have no chance at recovering, or he would be forced all in essentially. But because of the gold base, there is comeback potential. The gold base can help us recover, but here comes a double jump of Marines. We pick off an Overseer, we go for the mineral line, 2 drones go down. Nothing major. Good amount of damage. Behind this, we're backing off. 2 gases have been taken at the 3rd base. We have the 4th TC on the way alongside a factory. So Clem is working towards a longer macro game. He's not going all in. He's not being hyper aggressive. He's just pushing out with drops. He's keeping his tanks back at home. And Clem, he is getting damage done. Again, he's keeping the pressure on and keeping the pressure up. Dark still recovering. Ravagers aren't done, by the way. Oh! We dive on past the Biles. We focus on one of those Ravagers and a lot of Roaches. Good trades out of Clem. Avoids the Biles. Going for a drop into the main. Behind this, we can see Dark trying to transition into Lings and Banelings. Baneling speed is on the way. Ling speed is on the way as well. He's just trying to hold on with Roaches. Nothing but. Scan does reveal the Hive. Again, it was a very fast Hive out of Dark. He hasn't done anything with it yet. Oh, Biles do miss. They do barely miss those drops, thankfully. There it is. Vipers are on the way. Vipers, spellcasters in general will help. They're going to do a great job here at dealing with these drops. A lot of Marines go down. Bit of miscontrol. Bit of miscontrol there out of Clem. Medevac's taking a lot of damage. Then pushing through the center, applying some pressure here. Dark cannot commit. Dark rushing into the Ultra Cavern. Ooh, bold move here out of Dark. I like the Vipers. The Ultras is quite greedy. Oh, the Biles! We're not looking! Oh my god, the Biles connect. We take down 2 Medevacs. A lot of Marines go down as well. Clem, a little bit of lapse in attention there. Was focused elsewhere. With that, Clem, he does retreat. He's going to be reinforcing with more tanks. Getting ready for his push. Tanks, they will be sieging. Biles going to be once again connecting with those tanks. Oh my god, the tanks and the Medevacs. Good Biles here out of Dark, but is it going to be enough? There's still 5 more tanks behind this, slowly encroaching upon the gold base. Vipers have arrived. Show us the Blinding Clouds. We're diving on forward. Blinding Clouds are going to be thrown down on the tanks, covering most of them. And it looks like we should reset the tank line just barely. The tanks go down. Only a handful of Marines left. Dark, he's holding. He resets the tank count. He's got Ling Bane on the way. He keeps most of the Roach Ravager alive, and the Viper survived as well. Dark is clawing his way back into this. Now, Dark is still behind economically. Bear that in mind. Clem has a higher worker count compared to his opponent. Clem also has mules, but he did just lose a lot of tanks. Clem, he lost most of his tanks, which means Dark has some room to breathe. Dark, he has room to breathe. He can recover. He can max out. And boy, oh boy, is he maxing out. We've got Kindness Plating on the way. Adrenal. Ultras are on the way as well. So despite losing a mineral line earlier, Dark, he's in this game. We're taking more bases. 5th base up and running here for Dark. Dark going to be engaging in the center of the map. Once again, a bold move here. Lightning Clouds will be covering those tanks. The Ultras, they are connecting. But this was before Kindness Plating. The Ultras, they went down. Those were expensive losses for Dark. Did get a tank, but not the best trade from our Zerg player. And here we go. Clem, he's just rallying across the map with Ghosts. 3-3 is on the way. 3-3 hasn't started for Dark. So he will be behind in those upgrades. Oh. Touch piles there. Bringing down one of those mines. Ooh, does take a mine to the face though. Banelings do go down. Oh, we missed. That's okay. We clean it up. Again, keen eyes out of Dark overall. The bios have been on point so far throughout this entire game, taking down Widow Mines, tanks, medevacs at times. There it is, 3-3 now on the way for Dark as well. Now, it still feels like Dark is stabilizing. Sure, both players are maxed, that is true, but for the most part, Clem as map control is taking a 5th base as well. Dark has to do something about this 5th. He's gonna try. Does have a secondary army on the right-hand side. Clem still pushing right through the center. Now with all the ghosts. He has ghosts, he has snipes. He's working on a Liberator transition. With that Lib transition coming in, Dark is going to need some anti-air. Big mine shots going off on the Banelings. Tank survives. And Liberators are on the way. Fusion Core for Liberator range. 2nd Starport as well. Good trades here by Clem, sniping the Ultra, getting a lot of Lings. Very efficient trades. And you can see that Clem is building up a bank because of how efficient he's been. Dark isn't. Dark desperately replacing everything that he's lost. And again, with the arrival of these Liberators, we need Hydras, Corruptors, we need one or the other. Vipers are not going to cut it, not on their own. And with the advent of Liberators, with the arrival of Freedom, like, you can just bully the Zerg player back. Oh boy. I mean, Biles can be an answer. Corrosive Biles here from the Ravagers. How many Ravagers are there? They've been putting a lot of work. Like, they've been getting a lot of value here for Dark, getting tanks, getting medevacs. But it's not the most supply efficient way to deal with Liberators. Here we go. Liberators are going to harass across the map. Main army pushing right through the center. Oh, this Naga, this choke point is brutal. You force Dark back. Liberator's going to be harassing at the same time. A big Ling Bang counterattack here at the 4th base. At the same time, Dark pushing towards the 5th and towards the center. Bit of a tri-pronged attack from Dark. Bailey's going to be rolling in. From both ends. They do roll into the mineral lines. Can they get the planetaries? At the same time, we push into the 3rd base and we will get into the mineral line. SCVs are going down. And we're trading with workers, not with the army though. This could trigger a big counterattack. That's going to be 18 SCVs going down. Ooh, the sensor tower as well. Take as much value as we can. We're pulling back. We have 5 Ultras on the way. And Clem is pushing. Clem, he is going for that counterattack. A lot of his ghosts did survive. We have 6 Liberators being produced at a time. Oh, that's a lot of libs. And there's that Spire. Spire is on the way at the gold. Ooh, that's a risky location for the Spire. Let's see if we can hold on to it. Mine shot's going to be going off. Good splits out of Dark. Does avoid most of the mine shots. Ooh. Most, not all. And Decent mine connections here on the links. We do collapse on some of these ghosts. 3 ghosts go down. Good pickup. Good catch out of Dark. Whatever ghost he can get. At the same time, looks like one of those Liberators did go down at the natural base. Snipe's going to be going up, catching some Ravagers. Baneling's going to be going down. Once again, another counterattack here at the Planetary. This time, no Banelings, only Ultras and Lings. Yeah, we're going for this round. We force back the army. That's a lot of libs. Can we break through the Planetary? Looks like we can. Looks like the Planetary should fall just barely. Yeah, 16 SCVs go down. We do manage to do quite a blow here to the economy of Clem. Scan was 1 second too late. The Miles doesn't catch the army. And most of the Ultras escape. This is a good run by here from Dark. He brings down the Planetary, 19 SCVs, and he escapes with most of his army. Meanwhile, this base is being retaken, but that's an orbital, not a Planetary. That position is going to be significantly weaker to another run by. And this means that Dark, he can just invest Lings to his next run by. Doesn't have to go for Ultras or Banelings anymore. The Planetary has been dealt with. See if he can pull it off. Meanwhile, Liberator and Survivor going to be getting a couple of worker kills. Denying a lot of mining time. That's more important here. Liberators, they continue to rock up. Spire is done. +1 air attack is on the way. Oh, we are denying bases here from both ends. 2 bases, almost no mining. Oh, the Infestor! Calm down. Oh. Yeah, you can see how annoying these Liberators are, especially with our Corruptors. Like, how do we deal with them? We need those Biles. Here we go. Dark going for a massive link counterattack. We spoke about this before. No Planetary SCVs are going down. Maybe 3 worker kills so far. Only 4. Okay, good cleanup out of Clem. Averts disaster. Good cleanup overall. Liberators are sieging up here across the map. Still denying so much mining time. And Dark, he's running out of money. His gold base is tapped dry at this point. And this is what I spoke about the Spire. No shot. That Spire is so exposed. We cannot afford to lose it. +1 attack is still on the way. Okay, we back up. Ooh, the friendly fire. I say the friendly fire. I mean, in a way, the mine does drag, does take down the Infestor. Liberators are forced back home. A big link counterattack. Which means the Spire does survive, I believe. Did it survive? I think so. I think it's still there. I hope it's still there. Spile's going to be connecting. They bring down some of these mines. I believe the Spire is bleeding out as we speak. Yeah, there it is. It's bleeding out as we speak, and we're going to have to remake that Spire elsewhere. Corruptors are coming out. Mine shot's going to be going up. Again, the Ling run by did a lot. Honestly, if it wasn't for that counterattack, Dark would have lost the Spire, and he would have been denied +1. Now, to be fair, he's still lacking upgrades for his Corruptors. Oh, the Infestor is looking for Fuggles. Big Fuggle! Massive connection here on the Ghosts. And every single Ghost does get caught out. Some big pickups there, but half the Ghosts did fall. Dark going to take a big fight. He's racing on forward. He shuts down the army, zoning it away. More Ghosts getting caught. We're keeping the production. But the freedom. Liberation zones are thrown down, and Dark, he cannot engage. He cannot engage with the main army. Is being forced further and further into the bases here of Clem. There's no way out of this. It's a one-way trip. Massive mine connections. Oh my god, on the Lings. And Dark, he's losing everything. He's losing everything at this point. This was not the fight to take. The Ultras go down. The Corruptors as well. GG gets called, and Clem will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played. Again, Clem, he was in control of most of this game, had a great start. Dark was stabilizing, but again, it did feel like Dark was one step behind when it came to the tech. Because he lost so many drones, right? He was stuck on a worse army. He was able to get into Ling Bane Ultra, that is true. But something that Dark wasn't able to do is mine. I don't know if I put enough emphasis on it, but Dark, remember, it was only like 3 libs, and he could not mine at all from his fringe bases. He was on a 4-base economy because his gold had run out. He was actually on like a 2-base economy, and he could not mine from bottom right or top left. Like, he just could not deal with those liberators. So much mining was being denied for so long in that game, for minutes at a time, especially towards the end. So Dark was all in. He also lost the center hatchery. You know, he didn't really have much going for him in a more longer game, and yeah, Dark was pulled apart essentially. Just was not able to deal with the liberators with the harass. Could not deal with the main army and how refined it was either. Dark was outscaled, and Clem takes game 1. GG. GG, well played. A solid game there out of Clem, and a really rough start for Dark. Again, like, it did feel like he was on the back foot ever since he lost, what was that, 17, 18 drones to the Hellion dive? It was brutal. It was brutal. Imagine that game where he didn't have to recover from that position. And I'm sure Dark is going to be tightening things up here in game number 2 on Solaris. We are getting ready here for game 2. Solaris, another large map, a lot of bases to be taken, a lot of room in the center, especially when you knock down the rocks. But we have seen a lot of late game, a lot of split map play here on Solaris. We'll see if that's going to be the case again. I can't imagine that Dark is going to be going for another gasless opener. But we'll see. I wouldn't put it past Clem going for double Rax Reaper, 2 Rax Reaper even. Go. Hello, Coliseum in the chat. Hello. Yes, Clem the Mlem. Ah, beautiful. Yo, Clem is making me crave coffee a little bit. I may boil some water after the first set of matches, just because tonight is a long night of StarCraft, so. We'll see how I feel once we wrap up a lot of these matches. And here we go in the top left hand corner. We have Clem for Team Liquid. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have Dark representing himself. Here we go. And it looks like we are going once again for a Rax on the high ground, not going for a 2 Rax Reaper opener. See, in fact, Clem killed 18 workers, and yet Dark still has more than Clem. That's a little bit of a... Don't let that lure you into, like, a... Don't let that deceive you, as, that is true, but Dark, he had to drone. That's the problem here, is that, Lava and losing that many workers is so brutal, and it is what gave Clem so much momentum at the start of that game, because it forced Dark to just drone hard. It forced him to re-drone, I should say, forced him to delay his production, delay his tech, delay his economy, and I mean, he was able to recover, that is true, but he did fall by the wayside in other aspects as a result. So it was a really strong start by Clem. We'll see if Dark can have a much more comfortable time here in game number 2. I hope so, which would lead into a more back and forth mid to late game. We'll see if that's going to be the case here. We shall see. As this time Dark does take a gas. Okay, so it is not going to be gasless. So again, to reiterate, the build that Dark went for in game number 1 is something that he does specifically on Alcyone, not on some of these other maps. The reason for it is because of the rush distance by ground, and the more defendable locations on Alcyone kind of lend to that. Here, hatch gas pool. Standard opener out of Dark, standard opener out of Clem. Now when it comes to the advantages here of Solaris, again, it can be quite defendable outside the natural base with the ramp, with the choke point. There are a lot of choke points here on Solaris, and you can hold on to your 3rd and your 4th base quite well. The 5th is more exposed. The 5th is far more exposed here, and it can be difficult to hold on to, especially compared to Alcyone. Alcyone is far more fortified. So I want to give Dark a little bit of the edge when it comes to how aggressive he can be in the mid game. As for now, Reaper going to be dancing with the Lings. Going to be chipping away at the army. Clem going straight into a third CC. It's going to be a third CC before Starport. Very economic opener here at a Clem. As Dark is getting into his third. So far, so good. As Dark, interesting, he decides to avoid that Reaper. He slips out with his Lings. Cheeky move here out of Dark. With this, he can get some SCVs. His goal here is to get a couple of workers. Ooh. Meanwhile, Clem did throw down a third CC before Starport, but that is a third CC 2-1-1. That is a Rax, not a Starport on the way, so Clem is mixing it up a little bit here. You'd love to see it. I haven't seen 3CC 2-1-1 in a couple of days. Like, we have seen it recently, but it's not too common nonetheless. So the way this works is we're going to be building up an abundance of units. You can see double Cyclone on the way. It's going to be Cyclones and Hellions. This can hit with an armory as well with Hellbats. So I'm curious if Clem is going to be going into his Hellbat push, which he did whip out a couple of days ago as well. 3 Raxes! The full scout! Oh my god! The scout does slip in, so Dark gets eyes on everything here, and again, it was an economic opener, but Clem is being very aggressive behind this. Cyclone's rival, they shut down an Overlord. Now, Dark is aware of what's going on. The Starport is now on the way, but it is delayed, or it was delayed. And Dark, a wise choice, so he goes for an earlier Baneling Nest. Especially because Clem has been going for these Hellbat pushes recently. You see Dark preparing for that kind of scenario. He's going to be throwing down a safety Baneling Nest. He's going to be getting out his Lings. Now, this does mean that Dark's lair is delayed and his 1-1 upgrades are delayed. This is true, as I assume this was going to be defensive, but Dark, he can turn this defense into an offense here. He is amassing a lot of Lings. A lot of Lings are amassing here. Dark is going for a Bane Bust. A straight up Bane Bust here from Dark. Now, this can work because of the production of his opponent. No Widowmines and no tanks. We have made Hellions and Cyclones instead. So this Bane Bust could catch Clem off guard. We can bust into the natural. We can get a lot of damage done if Clem's main army is out of position. Like the Hellions and Cyclones are marauding around the map. They have missed the army we're waddling in. We're setting it, Poppy. Let's go. We're sending it here into the natural. Again, the Hellions and Cyclones out of position. Marines here to defend. Stim is done in 10 seconds. It's not ready. Stim is just barely not ready. We roll on in and we will connect. The Marines go down. The SCVs. Oh my god, we do split up just in time. Bailey's a crash into the reactor. Lings a flood into the main base. Hellions and Cyclones still racing back home. They're still not here. We are getting damage done. SCVs are falling. How much though? 14, 15. Is this going to be enough? 16 workers go down. Bearing in mind that Dark did cut worker production as well. And it looks like Dark is going to get cleaned up. He's still getting more SCVs. The Banelings, they roll into the main. The main base, massive connections. 29 SCVs go down. And that is a connection that Dark was looking for. That is what he needed. Initially, it would not have been enough to win him the game, but 30 SCVs are falling. Those final 2 Banelings were clutch. And with that, Dark takes an economic lead. He is looking ahead here. Behind this, I didn't mention it, his Evo chambers and his lair is delayed. That is true. So his tech is late, but he's ahead of the economy. That's what matters most right now. As long as Dark doesn't lose anything to these Hellions, he should be perfectly fine. And Clem knows that there's a massive amount of Lings. He knows that there are Queens. These Hellions, they can't really dive in. If they do, and if we lose them, then Clem has nothing to defend. So he's just stuck at home. Now, Clem does have triple CC. He has triple mules. That is true. So the worker count here is low for Clem. He has a bit of a boosted economy because of those mules, but it's still not quite enough to make up for the losses that he sustained. He needs to get some counter damage done. The onus right now is on Clem to get into a mineral line with Hellions, with drop play, catch an army, catch a chunk of Ling main. And Clem needs either a good fight or he needs to create an opportunity for himself and deal some kind of economic damage. Not again. As the Banelings are waddling back in. And Clem, I mean, he doesn't have much here to begin with. 3 SCVs go down. Not the best trade from Dark, but any worker kill counts here. Like, Clem barely has an economy to begin with. Hydra Den is on the way. Clem pushing in with some Hellbats, but we have Banelings ready for this. The Lings are not. We're getting into the mineral line. Banelings that do roll in. And they will connect here with the Hellbats. At the same time, big Ling counterattack. We have plenty in position to defend. We shut down the third base. 8 SCVs go down. And Dark, he holds on back at home. You can see Clem leaning back there in his chair for a moment. He knows how dire the situation is. And Dark is getting into his upgrades. So he's getting into 1-1. Hydra Den was throwing down the Lings. They come back in. No, the Lings, they come back in. They get a mule. They get an SCV. They deny mining once again. Dark just ensuring that Clem does not recover. Just making sure that his economy stays down for the rest of this game. Now, there is drop potential here, and again, like, these Marines are going to trade very efficiently. That is true. See if Dark can keep up. The Baileys! Oh, guys, we're not looking. Bit of a lapse in judgment there. He takes some big Baileys to the face. Clem leaning back in his chair, or sinking back in his chair once again, and it's not looking good. There was potential. There was potential with the double drop, but he was caught off guard. We get one of those queens. We get a second queen as well. Good pickoffs. But this doesn't make up for the dead double drop across the map. It doesn't make up for the dead units, the lost units for Clem. From here, Dark, he is fortifying himself, solidifying his army here with Lingbane Hydra. He's on 65 workers, soon to be 70. Now, if Clem can maybe get some Miracle Widowmine connections, and again, if he can drop into a mineral line undetected, then sure, he can make some magic happen. It's happened before, it can happen again. I think we casted a similar game maybe a week ago where like Dion was down 40 supply and he was able to come back. But not like this, and GG gets called, the double drop gets called out, and Dark fights back. We're going to the ace match. We are going to the ace match here. GG. And again, so far this series has been dictated by kind of like the early to mid game, by our tech choices, by our openers here. Before we can really get into a three-base economy, in game one it was Clem. In game one it was Clem crippling the economy of Dark and giving himself a lead. Here in game two it was Dark eviscerating the economy of Clem, going for a Ling Bane bust, throwing caution to the wind. And it was really unfortunate. To wind it back to that moment, if Clem had found the Ling Bane, that's the thing, right? Like, he was being active. Remember, he was being active with his Hellions, he was being active with the Cyclones. If he had just caught a glimpse of the army, then he would have shut it down. He would have had so much more time to react. The problem was that he missed it, right? He did miss the Lings and the Banelings morphing in. He missed the move out. He didn't see it coming, which is why he was caught off guard, which is why his army was so out of position, and that's kind of what led to Dark snowballing out of control there in that game. But we'll see how this changes here. In game number 3, we're going to be loading in to side Delta. Let's go. Let us go. I'm saying Clem is playing coffee builds? Oh, true. Let's go. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have side Delta. It is Clem for Team Liquid. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the Zerg player, Dark. Korean Zerg. Again, Dark is recently teamless as of less than a week ago. Did announce that his contract had ended. So it is a bit of a shame that he is no longer on a team. I did see some people asking about it in the chat. As people are saying as well, I'm sure the reason why the contract ended, the reason why the contract did not renew, is because Dark has very limited time available before his military service. We know for a fact that he has already gotten his notice for military service. That was last year in 2023. So yeah, Dark, he does have to, of course, do that at some point, and we don't know when he's going to do that. do that. We can only speculate that that's the reason why Dark is currently teamless. Now, it's possible that he may get a team just for IEM. Like, that happens... God, what event was it? I remember Ballistics. I remember the Korean team Ballistics. They signed players specifically for IEM Katowice just for, like, the month of IEM, just to support them for that month. So, like, something like that could happen where Dark gets a sponsor just for the one event. I mean, it would make sense. I mean, it's a big premier event, so a lot of eyes would be on that. We'll see. We shall see. As for now, Clem is going for a Rex Expand. Standard opener out of our blue Terran player. Meanwhile, Dark going for a Hatch Gas Pool. Once again, not going for a Gasless opener. Here we go. As we settle into game number 3. The ace match. It all ends here. It all ends in game 3. Reaper gonna dip on out. Dancing with these things. Ooh, does get one. Bit of a reaction there on cams by Dark as well. So, rough start. Not ideal. Ooh, Dark even forced to make 2 more lings. Oh, that is also not ideal. I mean, not the biggest of losses here for Dark, but nice small wins here early on by Clem. Ooh, behind this, that is not a third CC. That is a 1-1-1. A very aggressive opener here by Clem. Going for a 1-1-1. A delayed third base, a much faster starport. My eyes are on you, Clem. What are you cooking? This should be an add-on swap. This should be a Banshee opener, I imagine. But we'll see if we do go for something crazy like Fast Stim and a Liberator, for example. Going into a Hellbat push. The add-on swap should be upon us, though, as the Reaper does dip in. Hellions, likewise, they go for the dive into the mineral line. Ooh, they do run into some lings, though. Big overextension there, and the Hellions are going to be going down. They're so low. And it looks like, oh, yeah, one Hellion does fall. The second Hellion as well. These are losses we cannot afford, by the way. Not with this aggressive opener. 2 Hellions go down, a Reaper as well. Ay, ay, ay. Again, this wouldn't be the biggest of deals, but remember, Clem, he delayed his third CC. Yeah, you can see him reacting on cameras as well. He's not happy about this. Like, this build from Clem is meant to build up towards a Hellion and Banshee harass, and it's going to be that much weaker as a result. Meanwhile, the Hellion's going to be rotating between the bases. They threaten that mineral line. Dark doesn't lose anything. Getting ready for his own ling run by. This is a little bit greedy out of Dark, but he's still got 12 more lings in production. The Hellions say dive in. The lings are out of position. No shot. The lings and queens completely out of... We can go. No. Clem pulls back. Oh, the door was wide open. It was wide open, but he gets pulled back by the ling counterattack instead. Clutch move there out of Dark. Oh my god. That was almost disastrous for Dark. The Hellions go down to the queens. No shot. The Hellions went down as well. Ay, ay, ay. Things not going well here for Clem. There was an opportunity, and it wasn't just that he missed the opportunity, it was also that the Hellions were killed. But here comes the Banshee, and here we go. No detection. Drones are going down. Clem is making this opener worth it. But the lings, they dive in again. No shot. They're in the natural. They're back in the natural. There's one Hellion to defend. It gets surrounded. Things are going from bad to worse here as more SB is going down. Clem, sinking back in his chair once again. He knows that things are not going well here. Not at all. We get into the main base. More SUVs fall. Ay, ay, ay. Big reaction there out of Clem. And just like that, Dark, he's in a phenomenal position. Remember, to wind it all back as well, this was not 3CC. This was a 1-1-1. So Clem already had a stifled economy. Now the third base starts. And the third base starts for Clem as Dark starts the fourth. That's how far behind he is. Such a late third. We don't need that, though. We don't. Production, calm down. Oh, God. But, yeah, Clem not happy about this position here. Is going to be going into mech as a result. We have a double factory on the way. We have... Oh, we have Hyperflight Rotors as well. It is going to be Banshee speed. I mean, this makes sense. Like, in this position, Clem has to... Like, he just has to do something crazy. He has to just whip something wild out. Mech could be a comeback here. He could stabilize if he's able to, like, turtle up on 3 bases and turtle up on 4 bases. I'm sure it's not something that Clem wanted, but it's what he needs to do. Like, Mech is a very efficient composition, and it's what he's going to have to rely on here. The Spire's on the way, I just realized. Dark, he's going for the Spire, and... I mean, okay, so a couple of things here. One, I do really like mutas against Mech. In this position, I do really like mutas, but we have Hurricane Thrusters on the way, and the new Cyclone actually does fairly well against mutas. Doesn't do too poorly at all if we're able to keep up. So this could go one way or the other. The mutas could wreak havoc, or Clem could catch the mutas, depending on how many Cyclones. That's the other big thing, as he has doubled down on Banshee production. Honestly, Dark could just be investing into mutas, not even for harassing, but to shut down the Banshees. Like, it wouldn't be too bad of a decision whatsoever, because that's a lot of Banshees and Hellions. Oh boy. Here we go. Clem, he does rock up with a massive amount of units. Nothing shoots up. The mutas, they go right for those Hellions. They dive on the Hellions. They're going to be shutting them down. Yeah, it's just a really rough game here. GG gets called. Nothing going right in Game 3 for Clem, and Dark will take the series 2-1. Dark will advance on to the playoffs. GG. GG, well played. Dark, he will advance on alongside players like Maru, alongside players like, who was the other one? Hero as well. So the 3 players so far to make it into the playoffs are Hero, Maru, and Dark. The Korean trifecta. The best Zerg, Protoss, and Terran of Korea have made it through first. Meanwhile, Clem is going to have to play again tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow, in a couple of days. Clem, he does get knocked down to round 5. He will have to try again in that next round in a couple of days. Now, what I will say, of course, is Clem is still an amazing player, and that was a really rough game, but he's going to have a couple of days to calm things down, you know, to get some rest, to ruminate over the series, to prepare himself physically, mentally, and again, even though he was looking a little bit distraught after that series, we can come back, and he can, of course, still make his way into the playoffs. Not there yet, but he's still a favored player here. He's still favored not even to make it to the playoffs, but to win the entire event. So Clem is still amazing, still an amazing player, still is a threat to every other player in this group. Not even just some of these other big names, but players like Cyril, players like Rayner and Max Pax, they don't want to face off against Clem. Especially after this series. The next time Clem plays, mate, he's going to be angry. I did not want to be the next player that Clem plays against, mate, because he's going to be venting those frustrations on that next player. Oh boy. So with that, we'll be seeing Clem again in a couple of days. Meanwhile, we're going to be going on a short break. We have another winners match. It's going to be Cyril versus Cure in another ZVT. Just like Clem versus Dark, this match is not an elimination match. This is a winners match. The winner of this series will advance on into the playoffs. The loser, just like Clem, will have to play again in round 5. We'll have to actually potentially play against Clem in round 5. Oh boy. Again, it's going to be a brutal round. For now, though, going to be going on a short break. In a couple of minutes, we'll be back. We will be back.